Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio, and today I've got wonderful news for you, ladies and gentlemen, though I know some of you have probably figured this out on your own by now. Rainbow Rares are gone, and I think Rainbow Rares are gone forever, and I am absolutely delighted about this, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely delighted, and I know a bunch of you are as well. And just before we get started, right, can we give some love to the product development team over at the Pokemon Company International? Because they've had an opportunity with the release of Scarlet and Violet. They've had an opportunity to go, you know what, we can do some things better. We can make some changes that are going to make people happy. Now, in terms of the Pokemon Company International, they very much made the decision to get rid of yellow borders, go to the silver borders like Japan has. Loving that decision. And I suppose the decision to get rid of Rainbow Rares hasn't actually been done by the folks at the Pokemon Company International. That would be the people designing the cards over in Japan. But still, they have also taken this opportunity, and I, for one, am absolutely delighted, because I don't like Rainbow Rares. I've never really liked Rainbow Rares, and they've always, and the thing is, it's not just that I don't like Rainbow Rares, it's that Rainbow Rares are a good pull. So when you pull a Rainbow Rare, you could have got a better card if a better card existed. Like, let's take Silver Tempest as an example. There are two kinds of Rainbow Rares. You've got, well, let's start off with supporter cards. So we've got Serena as an example. But if you look at Rainbow Rare Serena, it is exactly the same as Full Art Serena. Same artwork, same card. But instead of the lovely, pretty full art, you've got the boring Rainbow Rare. Except anytime you pull the Rainbow Rare, you could have pulled the full art. And it's even worse over in Japan. Because over in Japan, you get one secret rare per box guaranteed. Occasionally a second, but generally one per box guaranteed. And that could be a number of things, but it could be a full art or it could be a Rainbow Rare. So, and I've done this before, where you pull a Rainbow Rare supporter card and you're like, well, I've basically got the same odds of pulling a full art and a rainbow, but the full art is worth so much more than the rainbow, and I've now just kind of been clowned by pulling this rainbow that I didn't really want, when if rainbows didn't exist, maybe I'd just get the full art, and the full art's so much cooler. And I can prove it to you, ladies and gentlemen, because let's go and have a look. And it's more pronounced over in Japan, so I think that's a better comparison to go and have a look at. Just to make it really obvious, let's go and have a look at the price of Serena in Japan, both the full art and the Rainbow Rare. Now, the full art is one of the most sought-after cards in the Sword and Shield block as a whole. It's a ridiculously popular card. It's coming in at 47,800 yen. And obviously 47,800 yen, even if you can't do the what's the word I'm looking for? The conversion in your head, that's still an awful lot of money. You're talking about a $370 card. Now, admittedly, the Rainbow Rare is currently shown as sold out. But it'll come back in stock for just a maybe a tiny price increase. Nothing terribly dramatic. And what we find with the Rainbow Rare version is it's 4,280 yen. It's a $33 card. So the full art is a $370 card. The Rainbow Rare is a $33 card. Now, they're kind of comparable in terms of rarity. They're secret rare versus hyper rare, but they're not a million miles away. They're the same card, same artwork, and a gigantic difference. A gigantic difference in terms of value. We could do the same thing going over to TCG Player, having a little bit of a look at the price of the cards in English. And again, it's not as pronounced in English, all right? So please do bear that in mind. But even in English, you can see that the full art is a $40 card and the Rainbow Rare is kind of like a $15 card. So there's still a decent difference between them. It's just way more pronounced over in Japan. And the only real reason for this is because people just don't like the Rainbow Rares. And it really is as simple as that. And I don't always like to look at value because I don't just like to think of Pokemon cards in terms of their value. The artwork is stunning. Serena, actually, in terms of artwork, is one of my favourite full art supporters we've seen over the past few years. I think it's a lovely looking card. But the fact of the matter is, this is how we show the difference in opinion between full arts and rainbow rares. It's pretty obvious. Now, I did say there were two kinds of rainbow rares. Let's have a look at Unknown V-Star, because V-Stars are the other kind of rainbow rares. And you will notice that, again, we've got a very similar thing going on here, whereby it's just the same artwork. But here, even though rainbow rares are quite a lot rarer than the regular, they don't look as good. And I know some people love rainbow rares, and if you do like rainbow rares, I apologise. I'm explaining to you my opinions of them. I'm explaining to you why rainbow rares have been taken away. And let's be clear, if rainbow rares were super hyper crazy popular and everybody loved them, they'd be staying. I don't think that's a controversial statement. Like, Pokemon are listening to us. They're not in the habit of doing stuff deliberately to try and annoy us. And let's face it, rainbow rares are here because they thought they would be cool. Rainbow rares are going away because Pokemon have realised we don't really like them that much as a whole. I know some people are exceptions, and there we go. Simple as that. That's the only explanation I can give, and it seems to absolutely make sense. So basically, what we've got here is rainbow rares going away. That's lovely. I mean, rainbow rares have been here for a while at this stage. They came around actually in the Sun and Moon base set, and the Sun and Moon base set, they were kind of a nice little novelty. But the Sun and Moon base set came around in 2017. So at this stage, we've had, well, as I record this, basically 6 years of rainbow rare cards. And I think it's fair to say, and again, stop me in the comment section if you think I'm wrong, but I think it's fair to say that we're kind of done at this stage, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need them anymore. Oh, also, as a fun little side note, if you're the kind of person that likes complete collections, that does mean you can now get moving on actually trying to get a full rainbow rare collection. And that's kind of awesome, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. That is kind of awesome. I do appreciate that. That makes me kind of happy. For comparison's sake, when we saw the Sun and Moon base set, the rainbow rares were actually limited just to Pokemon GXs. And as someone who was casting at the time, I really, really, really disliked basic rainbow rares because it was at times overwhelmingly difficult to try and see which rainbow rare it was. A lot of the time it was context, knowing the deck list, knowing the deck, knowing what was going on in the game. That was basically how we figured out which rainbow rare was on the field. As a caster, that made me a little bit sad. Over the years, we started adding in your supporter cards as well. And that actually came around in the Sword and Shield base set. So while we were going through Sun and Moon, it was really just the GXs. And then we started with supporter cards at the start of the Sun and Moon block. So you saw stuff like Professor's Research and Marnie in the Sword and Shield base set. So it was kind of interesting that they started off with rainbow rares in the Sun and Moon block. They doubled down on them in the Sword and Shield block. And now they're getting rid of them in the Scarlet and Violet block, and I honestly do believe it's time. But of course, that does then raise the fairly obvious question, what do we get instead? And what we get instead, if I may be so bold as to say so, is just a bazillion times better. Because we've seen, I showed you the other day that Scarlet and Violet is giving us these new kind of supporter cards, these new artwork style of supporter cards. Let's take Jack as an example. You've got a similar kind of sparkly there, but it basically looks like and it's a Kato artwork, so I kind of had to go for them, but they are designated as special art rares or special illustration rares, as they're called over here. Not special illustrator rares, special illustration rares. Let's all get that right from the off. And they're just better. Now we've got ourselves full art cards, and we've got ourselves special art cards. Let's look at Miriam. Miriam's got one of each. And oh, look. You've got the lovely full art, which is a nice looking card. But then you've got this special art rare as well, which is an absolutely lovely Kamiyama piece of artwork. And now you've got both versions of them. And again, let's take a look at Serena, full art and rainbow rare side by side. Now let's take a look at Miriam, full art and special art rare side by side. I don't really know how anybody, unless they really like that rainbow shine, cannot think Pokemon have improved here. And I've been telling you for months now we're in the golden age of artwork in the Pokemon TCG, and we are, incidentally, that is true. But Pokemon have even upped their game further in Scarlet and Violet, getting rid of rainbow rares and replacing them with these special art rares. It's such a wonderful, 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 wonderful thing to do, and I could not be more in favour. Are we getting rid of these forever? Yeah. Honestly, we are. At least it really does look like it. And you know what? I'm loving it, ladies and gentlemen. I am absolutely loving it. Although I do want to say, right, just before we finish the video, I know that some of you out there are big fans of Rainbow Rare cards. And if you are big fans of Rainbow Rare cards, you have my commiserations. Because even though I personally am not a fan of Rainbow Rare cards, I understand that some of you are. And some people are going to be absolutely gutted that they're going away. So you do have my commiserations, because I know it sucks when something you like goes away. And that is rubbish. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about these. I want to know if you prefer the special art rares. I want to know how much you like the rainbow rares. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel. You can get some bonus podcasts, you can join a Discord where we chat about Pokemon and basically anything else, and you can get shoutouts on the channel, like the lovely Tom the Game Nerd, who's a brand new supporter. It's their first shoutout on the channel, so thank you for all the support, Tom the Game Nerd, and welcome to the Patreon. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.